What's up guys, welcome to Freedive Passion. Today I'm going to show you how I've been using progressive overload in order to build comfort at depth with contractions. So last year was a really big year for me with regards to coaching people, and I didn't have that much time to train. I had probably like 3 to 4 weeks where I could focus on my own training. And the main thing that I got out of that was that I definitely needed to work on my CO2 tolerance and become more comfortable with feeling contractions at depth. So I've took January and February off to focus on my own training, and the main focus is this weakness, building comfort with higher levels of CO2 and building comfort with experiencing these levels of CO2 at depth. Today I'm going to do a 70-meter dive. I'm going to extend my dive time, so make the dive slower than what it would normally be, and try and make that dive about 3.5 minutes. Now this is something that I would never have been able to do a few months ago before I started this training. So already this is proof that my training method and principle has worked. So I'm going to take you along with me, introduce you to the guys that I'm training with, and then afterwards I'll explain what I've been doing in order to be able to perform this dive. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to the people that I'm diving with today. This is Ari, a national record holder from Israel. He's got the Bifins national record. He's just popped down to Dahab to do a little bit of training, and he has his own freediving school in Alat. So what are you going to be up to today?
Today we're going to go for 80 meters in Bifins.
Nice.
Hopefully we get there.
Is that a PB?
That's going to be a PB, yes.
Okay, great.
We'll see.
Right. And we have Dave Mellor over here. He's an English freediver. He's represented Great Britain at the World Championships. And he's actually in Dahab training for a pool competition, the Bristol Blue. But he's going to slip in some depth training at the same time. What are you up to today, Dave?
Always good to slip something in there. Well, I'm going to do 81 no warm-up because I want to beat him, right? This is how it goes.
Yeah,
we all watch your movies and follow it. I'm going to do just like a 50 free emerging no warm-up dive. I'm just playing with that at the moment, but really saving myself for the pool because I've got a pool session this afternoon.
Alright, cool. And if anyone watched the 16x60 freediving video in the pool, Dave was our commentator for that. Yeah. Okay, I'll see you in the water. Alright, cool. So, mission successful. I think everybody had a really good session. I got my dive. Fucking nailed it. 70 with a hang, super slow. Ari, got your PV.
Finally!
Unofficial national record for Bifins.
Yeah, unofficial.
So all we need for us to a competition to come along, and then he's already ready. And Dave successfully saved his energy and just did a lame dive. We don't even need to talk about it.
No, we don't.
How was your dive, your AT?
Was really, really nice, surprisingly. I'm playing a little bit with no warm-up now, so just go for it before I get cold, and it makes a difference. Everything went well. I think also knowing that the safety is there and like having you guys around really helped to ease the mind and just like nice going for it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm always really careful with who I dive with. I need to feel confident that they know what to do, like if something happens. Yeah, for sure. Dave, you're pulling the line really well.
Yeah,
Also,
there wasn't enough bottom weight. That's what I'm
your
saying.
braiding was just spot on.
Yeah, I did a PB with my braiding.
Yeah. I really liked how you swam the buoy out to the cross line as well.
I did that really well.
good.
Yeah. I managed to miss the reef. That was the main objective of that. Yeah, it was a good session for me.
Yeah, great. You didn't kill anybody. You didn't kill yourself.
No, it didn't drop any lines or weights or anything. Yeah. That's the only positives I can find.
Okay, so I'm back home. I'm gonna kind of describe the process that I've been through in order to reach this dive that I'm at today. So I have like an okay CO2 tolerance. Obviously, I've already been to like 90 meters free immersion, constant weight. So I must have like some level of CO2 tolerance. But it's important to always be aware of what your biggest weakness is in freediving, and that should be your main focus in your training period before you start to do deep diving again. Then during that next training period, you can try and realize what your next limiting factor would be, and then that would be the focus in your next section of your periodization. So for me, I definitely realized that I had to build comfort with higher levels of CO2 and build my confidence with that. And it totally made sense because I've been kind of avoiding regular CO2 training basically my whole freediving life. And it came at a price because I haven't been doing any hangs, I haven't been doing any regular statics, I haven't been doing any slow diving. So my depth PBs were also my dive time PBs. The deeper I would go, the longer my dive would be. And one thing that I always try and think about when I'm doing a PB is limiting as many unknown factors as possible. So you want to go into a PB as confident as you can be. Obviously you can't be 100% confident because you haven't done that exact thing before. But if you've been to that depth, let's say in variable or no limits head down, then you know you can equalize there. You know how it feels to go there. You know you're not going to squeeze. If you've been doing a good hard pool session training period before the depth, you know physically you're capable of doing it. And if you've been doing long dives in the build up to your deep dive, you know you're capable of a longer dive time than what your deep dive would be. And that was kind of my thoughts going into this training period. I wanted to be used to longer dives than what I have to perform for my next few PBs. So this meant I had to kind of face my demons. I had to start doing CO2 training. I'd built it up to be this huge thing in my head. Like I was sure there was no way to experience contractions without like hating it and without it kind of sucking. But I do understand the principles of progressive overload and programming your training. So I decided to start off with very easy, simple CO2 training, but doing it very regularly. I can link in the description to exactly what I was doing, but basically it was really very high volume dry statics. So I did that for a couple of months and I already kind of noticed a change in just how I experience higher levels of CO2, or definitely at least how I interpret higher levels of CO2. There wasn't that same level of stress attached to it. Once I'd done that, I started to do my deep diving, my coaching stage had finished, January had came, it was time to start doing my deep training. Now, like I said, I hadn't had much time to train this year. So I had to start shallow. I had to start with 40-meter dives just to start to build comfort at depth, adaptation. But I decided to unite these 40-meter dives with longer dive times. So I was doing my 40-meter repetitions and I was trying to build up my dive time until I hit about 3.5 minutes. Once I'd done this, I started to extend the depth when I was feeling comfortable to do that. I would add 5 meters, but I would always keep the dive time at 3.5 meters. So I've been doing that at 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, and today I did it at 70. I'll probably repeat 70 a couple of times, then try 75, repeat that a couple of times, 80, and keep going that way. This way, when I do repeat my 90-meter PBs, the feeling of contractions at depth, the dive time, it's not going to be something new to me. It's something I would have experienced many times in all these dives building up to my maximum PB. Now, some things which I'll mention is I've been trying to extend the entire dive, focusing mostly on the beginning. So I'll go really, really slow for the first 20 meters. It takes me like more than a minute to go the first 20 meters. The nice thing about this is I'm experiencing higher levels of CO2 during the free fall as well. Once I'm hitting the bottom, I'm doing, a hang, but a very short hang, something like 20 to 30 seconds. And then I start my ascent, but I make my ascent much slower than what I normally would as well. So it's the way I see the most effective training and the safest way to do longer dives is to spend kind of the minimum time at the bottom, and that's all to do with nitrogen absorption and reducing your risks of getting DCS. So the point in this video, it's not really to tell everybody that you should be doing long dives or whatever. It's not even me saying that like I invented this type of diving. No, this type of diving's been around forever. The point in this video is historically I had this kind of fear of doing long dives, fear of experiencing high levels of CO2. I had this weakness in my diving, which I've been avoiding. But in the end, you have to be honest with yourself. And for me, I knew if I wanted to keep going to those depths or start getting PBs, it was time for me to work on these things which I've been avoiding all this time. And the same goes for you. If there's some part of freediving which you really, really hate, that's probably the thing which you'll get the most benefits from if you start to focus on. And if you start gently and progressively overload, it doesn't have to be this horrible, stressful thing. It can be totally manageable throughout the whole process. If you don't understand exactly how to start gently or even what progressive overload is, then I do offer personal coaching for people that can come out here to Dahab to see me. And I offer distance coaching for people that can't make that trip. And I can organize the planning, the progressive overload, and everything for you. So that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, take it easy and dive safe.